Oh, to celebrate the holidays, this is my favorite book. It's called The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. We have it in our bookstore, and I read it every Thanksgiving. It's my favorite Thanksgiving book, so I wanted to... This is my favorite Thanksgiving book.
Bam!
Bam! Drum roll, but it's not there. No drummer. I want to begin today's lesson by telling you a true story about the magic of gratitude. The woman I want to tell you about, her name is Alice Marina, who at one time, when she was in her 30s, and she had just been diagnosed with a mild case of multiple sclerosis, and her attitude was that her life was never going to look up again. She was practicing stinking thinking. Have you ever done that before? We all have. Until she got a message, a definite message, a message for all of us of how the universe always works in our favor if we let it. You see, Alice was single, she was lonely, and one day she was at her lowest point. And she blurted out, just in frustration, "God, if you want me to be single for the rest of my life, well, that's okay. Just place some peace in my heart." And then she sat back down, and I'm truly grateful. I am most grateful that you have my highest good always in mind. And at that moment, she decided to make a decision. It was her new motto, to be grateful no matter what. And she completely let go. And the story goes that a week after that prayer, she was supposed to go to her cousin's wedding. And at first she resisted. She wasn't going to go because she thought she would be the only single person there. And so she had a panel of judges in her head. You know those panel of judges, right? It's the committee inside our heads that is so ready to condemn, to analyze, to be fearful, to be angry, to be judgmental of circumstances, of anything but good. So her panel of judges was telling her all the reasons why she shouldn't go. Again, Alice remembered her prayer. Okay, God, if you want me to be single for the rest of my life, well, okay, just place some peace in my heart. And yes, I am so grateful for all the good, the highest good that you always have in mind for me. And then once again, she let go, and the resistance disappeared. Subsequently, Alice opened herself up to experience the miraculous, and this is how the miracles happened. So before the wedding was to take place, after many years of urging, Alice finally accepted an invitation from her sister to go to a singles event at her church. And so she was attending this singles function, and she felt so uncomfortable being there once again. The committee in her mind was going, and she began to leave when all of a sudden she passes this one man, and their eyes meet, and there was a beautiful connection. His name was Jack Toda. Now, Alice and Jack, they talked for over 3 hours. There was some good chemistry going on there. When Alice realized, oh my God, I gotta get going. I have a wedding that I have to get ready for in a little tiny town in Texas called Victoria. My cousin is getting married there. And Jack said, no kidding. I'm going to Victoria. My cousin is also getting married to a doctor. Really? My cousin is a doctor. Their cousins were getting married. So they decided to drive to the wedding together, a 7-hour trip. They talked the whole time. They had nothing but good things to share about each other. They were having a great connection. They attended the wedding. It was romantic and it was magical. The next morning, Alice was to meet her uncle for breakfast. And she was telling him, oh, I just have had this most wonderful man show up in my life. His name is Jack Toda. And Uncle Charlie said, huh, Jack Toda. I wonder if he's related to Nabe Toda. Just then, Jack walks up and says, yes, that's my uncle. Then Uncle Charlie explained to Jack and Alice that 50 years earlier, he had met Nabe Toda on the boat coming to America, and they had become fast friends. And when they went through customs, they got separated and they lost touch with each other completely. Uncle Charlie had been looking for Nabe Toda for over 50 years. Well, Jack and Alice eventually got married, have been married for many, many years, and the two uncles got reunited and once again became the best of friends. And everyone lived happily ever after. True story, true story. The universe is incredible if you let it. But let's just dissect this just for one little moment. You see, if Alice decided not to go to the singles group, or even to the wedding for that matter, because of the panel of judges in her brain, she would still be claiming and being lonely as she was at the beginning. She would be single. She would continue to be the victim to her narrative that she was having in her mind. But instead, she let go. She gave thanks for however her highest good was going to manifest for her. My friends, gratitude is the easiest and fastest way to change your life. Anyone that comes to me that says that they have a problem, maybe they're stuck or they're in a rut or they have a massive problem that they can't get past or overcome, I will say to them, you have to practice gratitude. Give me one or two things that are going right, and can you be grateful? When you let go, when you are grateful, there is this orchestrating power of the universe that can bring you what you want, what you need, when you need it. When I was faced with the idea of closing down my company a few years back, rightly so, my husband Steve and I were a tad bit depressed. And every evening, we would have to shift our energy. We would walk the dogs and talk about the things we were grateful for. And we gave thanks for all the things that were going right in our lives. And I gotta say, my friends, there are more things going right in your lives than are that is going wrong. And that is when I received, both Steve and myself received a deeper understanding of the transforming power of gratitude. And we still practice it to this day. When we take our walks every once in a while, it's like, let's shift. Let's start looking at the things that are going right. Let's start looking at the things we're grateful for. And I know firsthand, gratitude is the easiest, fastest way to change your life. My friends, gratitude is the antidote for 3 emotions that can destroy your life: depression, fear, and anger. You cannot be grateful and depressed at the same time. You cannot be grateful and angry simultaneously. And that's the beauty of it. It's the antidote. It's the remedy. It's the cure to anything that upsets you. So the more you cultivate and bring in the feeling of gratitude, the more you push out depression, the more you push out fear, the more you push out anger. Gratitude will shift you to happiness. That's the whole agenda of gratitude. If you want to be happier, then practice gratefulness. One of my favorite quotes from the Benedictine monk by the name of Brother David Stanelrast. I never pronounce it right, so. And he says this: in daily life, we must see that it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratefulness that makes us happy. There is a chemical shift in the body when you practice gratitude. When you are truly grateful, you will immediately feel results. We are currently, right now, living in a world that focuses on what's missing. It focuses on what's bad. It focuses on what's wrong. So my question is, How can one cultivate and sustain happiness for an extended period of time if we're always looking for what's missing or for what's wrong? That's why I tell people, stay away from the news. It'll tell you what's wrong. It'll tell you what's missing. So you just can't. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care who you are. You can't keep and sustain happiness if you're in those states of mind. Think about it. We all have, I'm sure, there's stuff that we could probably focus on that might be missing in our lives. But if we gnaw on those things all the time, we can't sustain happiness at the same time. It just doesn't work. If you let the panel of judges have their say, where's the joy in that? Where's the joy in it? In 2004, I had somebody come to my office, and she had a long list of all the things I was doing wrong. She saw through the lens of what was missing. And I looked at her and I said, and what do you see as working? What's good? And she couldn't come up with anything. And I said, maybe we're not a vibrational match. I don't think you're happy here. And then I said, have you considered going to ministerial schools to start your own church? Let's just say that didn't go over very well. So she decided she went to the church down the street, and little did she know, I'm really good friends with the minister there. And that minister and I had lunch one day, and she said, there's someone that came from your congregation that's been attending my church. Do you know she came into my office with a long list of everything that I was doing wrong? And we had a good chuckle about it. And I truly felt for that person. I really did, because she was constantly depressed, and she was always looking at what was missing. Now, here's the kicker. You're going to love this. I love how stories work. 2 years ago, both the minister down the street and myself received a call from her. And she ended up going to ministerial school. She took my advice. And she is serving at a church, and she apologized to us for the lists because she has list makers of her own. The three of us actually laughed about that, and because there's a comedy to useless, unnecessary suffering when we look through the lens of what's missing, when we look through the lens of what's wrong. And I asked her, could I someday use your story? Without naming her, of course. And of course, she certainly gave me permission to share that story. Today's lesson was perfect, really, for that story. And here's the deal, my friends. If you are constantly being grateful for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, it puts you in an energized state where you are not in scarcity. Where you're not in scarcity, where you're not like, oh my God, I don't have. The don't have mentality is so depressing, right? You see, gratitude will destroy the three things that can ruin your life: depression, anger, and fear. So if you want to be happier, then practice gratefulness. If you want to have self-confidence wherever you go, practice gratefulness. If you want to be more prosperous in every area of your life, practice gratefulness. When you are practicing gratitude, you are appreciating all the good that surrounds you. And the universe gives you what you want and what you need wherever you are. I guarantee the more you practice gratitude, the more the universe lines up and heaps more good things upon you. The author, Johannes Gettner, puts it this way: to speak gratitude is courteous and pleasant. To enact gratitude is generous and noble. But to live in deep gratitude is to touch heaven. I love that. There's an alchemy to gratitude that changes everything to the better. So this week, why not give yourself a Thanksgiving holiday boost? If you can, practice gratitude, and you will be amazed at how it will change your life. You will notice your life changing in 24 hours because gratitude is the greatest magnifier of joy. And yes, you will touch heaven. Can I get an amen? Amen.
So as I was contemplating this season, Thanksgiving, thinking of all of you and celebrating with your home, or your family, your friends, I was thinking about what is one of the main things I learned through the years in metaphysics and unity that has played a part in transforming my life. And it's the 4 stages of life: to me, for me, in me, and as me. And so I was looking at those and gifting these to you for you to contemplate and journal throughout the week, because to me is a way that is, as Cathy would say, third dimension. It's a way that often, sometimes the masses go to that place called victimhood. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure none of you ever say that, right? Why is this happening to me? How could this possibly happen to me? Why is God doing this to me? Yes? And so when we find ourselves in the place that we're using to me language, we want to do a quick correct of that and say, I'm into blame consciousness. Practice that with me. I'm into blame consciousness. Why is this happening to me? I'm always taken back when people blame God because a relationship isn't working, or because they are addicted, and it's like, really? You made the choice. How can you blame? It reminds me of a guy that he's headed to work and he has a flat tire. And so he gets out of the car, he catches a ride to work, and he's late to work. And the boss is upset with him, and so he fires him. He gets a ride back home, and as he's pulling up in his driveway, well, there's a fire and his house is burning down. And he goes, God, what is it? Why are you doing this to me? And God said, I don't know, Joe. I've just never liked you. You know? So we really want to be aware, and we all do it from time to time. You know, don't build a condominium there. You know, if you catch yourself doing the to me, catch yourself and do a quick correct. Invite your friends to not let you do that, because it can be a habit. Do any of you relate to this? Okay, so it's very important to catch yourself, because it's when I allow this circumstance in my life, these are the results that I receive. We move from that in unity, from the to me place to the for me place. God is for me. When things happen in my life, they are for me. I may not see it in the moment, but they are for me, and they're representing my highest good, and they will serve my life. I was thinking about Thanksgiving way back. I had an aunt that everyone when we were little said, she's the weird aunt. And she lived with my grandmother. And often as a teenager, you know, we're not always that kind as teenagers, but I would want to go see my grandmother, and I didn't want to deal with Aunt Dorothy. Well, she would meet me at the driveway. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I want to show you my new daisies. I want to show you my new daffodils. I want to show you my new garden. And I just really wasn't present with her at the time. I just wanted to see my grandmother. So fast track, I'm 30 years old. I meet people at my driveway when they're visiting my home for the first time. And I go, I'm so glad you're here. I want to show you my lilies. I want to show you my bottle brush tree. I want you to see my crotons. And every time I would say, thank you, Aunt Dorothy. Yes? So what is in your life that is that agitation is a pearl in the making The universe is for you. It always has been. You are God's beloved, with whom the divine has always been well pleased. Your history is erased if you let it. Your stories can transcend if you evolve with them, but it is for you. So it's holding that good. I think Reverend Cathy says it may not be good, but there's good in it. I just got a real intuitive hit this morning to call a fellow minister on the way here this morning. And he went, "Oh my gosh, the timing is amazing you're calling me." I go, "I don't call people on Sunday morning, but I was told by Spirit to call you." He said, "Well, my dog bit the maintenance man, and we are forced to move immediately out of where we live." And they said there's nothing we can do about it. And we immediately went to affirmative prayer, and we immediately claimed that the dog was helping them have a relocation that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And so anyway, we just hold that to our friend. I'm not going to name, but you see, because he was already in the place of finding what was for him. Do you see where I'm going? Because he has that filter, he's excited about it. He will transcend the energy instead of something happening to them or to the dog. So we move then into the in me phase. And to me, that's what Unity teaches so beautiful. God is in me. Say that with me. God is in me. The divine is in me. Love is in me. And it takes a while sometimes to recalibrate the energy of holding all that love in the vessel of who you are, of feeling so blessed. When you really believe God is in you and within you, you have self-esteem. You have energy. You have assertiveness. You're able to come from a much healthier place in relationship, because you understand that people deserve to really know you as you, right? I was visiting, I've been on a trip, and I was there. One of the things I did was I visited my 8-year-old goddaughter. She was turning 8. And so we decided she was turning infinity. And I said to her, I said, so how do you feel? Where are you with the fact of being 8? And she said, well, it feels really good. However, I still kind of like all the things I liked when I was 7. Why can she be that way? Because she believes that life is for her. Life is for her. Hold that grace when you pray. Hold that grace when you're in family situations this week. Embrace that everything and everyone is for you, even the things that may not feel comfortable. It will keep you from eating sugar and making some real bad decisions also. Okay? So we have the to me, we have the for me, we have the in me, of knowing that God is through you and in you and as you. And as Cathy said, the other part of that is when you do have situations in your life, keep them out here. Keep them out here. This is an issue I'm facing that I'm working through. It's over here. You do not have to bring it in here. Are you with me? Yes. You eliminate gut issues, organ problems, because you're not bringing it in here. What's in here is the core of a loving presence of new cells, new energy, new vibration. Anything that you're facing is out here. The only time it comes in here is if you choose. And finally, I'm going to close. We work at our time thing, she and I, a little bit. So I'm going to... So, one time I was in the Carolinas, and it was during COVID. I was going into the Waffle House to buy the family coffee. There was a big sign, taller and larger than me, and it said, "Do not enter here unless you have on a mask." I put my mask on. I go inside. I'm waiting to be waited on, and I look around, and there's 28 people, and nobody has a mask on but me. And I'm curious, I like to learn. And I said, I don't understand. I thought that you said don't come if you don't have a mask on. Obviously, when you're eating, you have to take the mask off. She went, we're not allowed to say anything if they don't have one on. This is true. I'm not making this up. It's like, well, what's the point? You understand? What's the point when we come each week to celebrate the principles? When we believe the universal law is for us? Let's hold on to those principles. Let's live them. Let's shine them. Let's allow ourselves to see. Let's be grown-ups around our relatives or people that we may have had issues with. Let this be the year that we move into a new place and we give thanks first and then the giving. Thank you for engaging me. Bless you.